event from Kartmania 2024 at Silverstone. I'm Matty from Zenico Racing. So we're here with Matty Street, X-Kart. So we're going to talk about the X-Kart Scholarship, what it's all about, and we've got a bonus conversation at the end about driven dreams that we all love to watch. So Matty, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no problem.
So let's talk about the X-Kart Scholarship. So everyone wants sponsorship, everyone wants to race, and then we see these things pop on Facebook about scholarships. Parents are a bit dubious. Are they real? You know, am I going to have, am I a walking bank account for these scholarships? How does it work? So what is the X-Kart Scholarship?
So I think to understand how the sort of scholarship came about, you've got to go back a couple of steps to when I was racing, if you like. And there's so many barriers to entry in motorsport, whether it's money, time, knowledge, whatever it might be, even the simple things of storing the car. There's so many barriers to entry to get into the sport. If you've not necessarily got a helping hand or a way to navigate that, it can exclude quite a lot of people. When I first started racing, my mum and dad weren't from a particularly wealthy background. One of them worked at a college, the other one at a football club. So a scholarship was my sort of entry point into motorsport at sort of 12, 13 years old. And it was at a local indoor karting track, and there was a team there displaying a car, and I just went over as one of those annoying kids. Yep. Oh, what's this? What are you doing? What's this? Why are you doing that? Can I ever go? No, you can't drive this kind of sort of mentality. But I was just that annoying kid that kept going and kept going. Ended up wingling myself onto a test day, and it turns out that I was quite good for never been in an owner-driver kart before. And then that team helped guide us through all the different paths, what classes to race, where to race, all that kind of stuff. And then that sort of allowed me then to build a career in motorsport from the indoor karting track.
And the X-Kart was born.
Yeah, exactly. So the scholarship for us is a way of reducing some of those barriers for entry, whether it is time, finances, whatever it might be. And you'll always get those comments of, oh, it's fixed, it's too good to be true, what's the catch?
Well, this is going to be the question. So you see, I see you advertise on Instagram, it comes up, and it's not only X-Kart that do scholarships, there's other karting teams out there who do it.
We were the first.
You was the first, and the best.
We innovate, they imitate.
I like it, innovate and imitate. So when you're talking about, these scholarships, you see them come up, and the first thing I as a parent ask, and I imagine you watching as a parent asks, is, how does it work? Do I have to be a good driver before I can come, and do I put just a phone call and say I want a scholarship? What is the actual setup and the format of a scholarship?
So the scholarship is broken down into two elements. You've got stage one, which takes place at our indoor karting track up in Manchester, or Stu Stretton's track in Warwick, Mr. Karting.
Yep.
And you'll go to that track and basically set a time session. Within that, we monitor consistency, racecraft, mechanical sympathy, and the off-track stuff. So when you sign on, are you polite to the staff? Are your parents polite to the staff?
We've still seen parents on the tracks, yeah.
So you're basically assessed from start to finish, and then that goes through a scoring process. And then the top 50 out of those scoring processes from either our track or Stu Stretton's track then go to stage two, which every year so far has been at Wilton Mill.
Top 50? So top how 50. Many kids apply for this?
So this year, I think it was about 180.
180, okay, so there's quite a lot of kids that are coming through. So I assume that a driver should be at a certain level of driving, or are you looking at someone you can actually progress and teach?
We've run the scholarship for 3 years now, and the fastest driver on raw pace has never won. Because we look for more than raw pace, because if we want raw pace, we'll just go to a British weekend and go, you're pretty good.
Yeah, quick, until they come and join us.
Yeah. And there's more to it than that. Does the driver understand the fitness commitment side of it, in terms of, do they go to the gym, do they have an eating routine, and so on and so on? How well are they on social media? How well can they talk in front of a camera? Because if you're really shy and timid and you look down.
Well, you see it, don't you? You see when you're watching the live streams on Alpha, the podium interviews.
It's great when the commentators have to drag a conversation out of someone.
Yeah, they're like trying to pull stuff out of the kid, how do you enjoy it? So I can see where you're coming from. So you have to have quite a grounded young child to be able to deal with that interview, because we interview kids all the time, and you do see it. Some are so much better, and some are a bit like, and you're trying to pull stuff out. So you've got those aspects. So the top 50 go through from that original round, and then what happens then?
Stage two. So stage two is a full day. So you're literally with us from 9 o'clock in the morning till 4 or 5 o'clock at night. We do 3 or 4 sessions in the corporate karts at Wilton Mill, so we can assess the drivers in a little bit more depth and more consistently. We'll have some of our driver coaches and track watching and driving around with them as well. So it gives us a better feel for them. So our driver coaches might go out and put them under a little bit of pressure, see how they cope with that. We have our team's personal trainer, because we have a personal trainer on the books that does a PT session with our drivers virtually every week. So he comes down and puts everyone through the paces. And sometimes people are worried about the fitness side, thinking, oh, well, I'm not very strong, I'm not this, I'm not that. It's not about how strong you are, how many press-ups you can do. It's how far are you willing to push yourself? How committed are you to trying to see it through and push yourself?
Well, we know karting's it's a sport and it's an athlete. You've got to be an athlete. You've got to be fit to do it if you're going to that level. Because I assume when you choose your driver for scholarship, they're going championship racing, aren't they?
Elijah, who won this year's,
Elijah Hazelwood.
Yep, he's currently at PF this weekend, and he's been well and truly thrown into the deep end. Won the scholarship a month ago. He's done 1 test day at PFI, and he's now doing 4 days straight at PF. So he's going to be knackered by the end of today. But that's what. So
that's stage 2. So stage 3.
We've not even finished stage 2.
Is there more to stage 2?
Yeah. So we have obviously the driving assessments in the corporate karts. We have the fitness assessment. We have a media assessment. Obviously, with my different backgrounds within media and marketing, we've got some commentators that come and do like a fake paddock walk interview with them. Yep. So we have David Sullivan and Alex Goldsmith, 2 really good commentators who do mock interviews with the drivers. We had a little bit of a sim challenge this year, so one of our partners, Scan, came down and brought a sim. And then you also have like a team interview with one of the team's managers or senior staff, where it's more of a Q&A session for those drivers to ask the team questions rather than us giving the drivers a grilling. But things we're looking for in that is, how much knowledge have you got of X-Kart? If you're coming to a scholarship and want this prize, there's a sort of expectation that you know what the team's about, what we stand for.
See, that's a really interesting hint if you are thinking about one of these scholarships. You think in the adult world, if we're going for a job interview, we don't go for a job interview and don't research who we're going to be working for. So I like that hint. So know about the X-Kart before you apply. So
something Elijah did this year, which I found out about afterwards, is he had a printout of every single person that works for the team, a picture of them and a bio. And you think, oh, maybe he's just got that off the website. No. He had mechanics that have maybe done 2 or 3 race weekends with a team that have popped up on socials somewhere. He went in depth with his research of the team.
So you're letting Elijah's secrets out now?
Yeah, why not?
If you're watching Elijah, well done. Well, you're racing at PF, but your dad might be watching. So any more to stage 2?
No, so that's the first part of stage 2. Then we have a massive database where everything's scored. So everyone's weighted from either 1 to 10 or 1 to 20, depending on the category. So if you're in the racing one, for example, if we're assessing racing lines, that'll be scored 1 to 20. If we're assessing your mechanical sympathy, 1 to 20. So everything's weighted throughout the entire process, and all the judges or the people that deliver in that session put that information into this big master spreadsheet. And then we have a little bit of a break where we deliver a workshop on branding and sponsorship, or some kind of free informational guide for people to be able to take away from the day. Whilst that's going on, everyone is sitting down discussing who the top scorers are so far.
Okay.
So we review all of that information, and every person that's delivered a stage also gets a top vote, which is where you might not have been the fittest driver, but I could tell you've really, really worked hard. It's a bit like the golden buzzer in Britain's Got Talent. I'm going to give you my top vote.
Almost like driver of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we compare those as well, and then we take the top 12 through, which are people that have either got the highest scores overall, not just in one aspect, and the people that have accumulated the most amount of top votes.
That's interesting.
So all of those people go through, and then there's a shootout in the X-Kart. So you'll do 3 sessions in the X-Karts.
Okay.
And again,
what class is that? Is that cadet,
that's
junior?
Junior road tax.
Junior road tax, okay.
Yeah. Unrestricted, as it is to race, full spec junior road tax. And then we're then assessing again how you're driving that, what mechanical sympathy have you got, are you taking on driver coaching notes in between those sessions? So we'll come and give you some advice and some feedback. We'd want to then see that implemented into the next session, because that tells us how coachable you are, which again was one of the reasons that Elijah really stood out. And I've been able to see that again firsthand this weekend with him at PF.
Well, we've raced against Elijah, and we raced with Elijah after he won your thing, and I have to say Elijah just went from there to there, so it does work.
So yeah, we take all that into account again, and then we try and pick. I like it ideally when we can just pick a single winner and go, you know what, you're the standout, because a scholarship is a brutal process. Everyone wants to go in and think they're going to be able to win, or they're going to do the best they can, but there can only be one winner, which means if 50 people go through, we're disappointing 49 of them that go home, and that's quite brutal. So I try and prefer it if we can just have a clear and concise, right, you're the winner. But it never works out like that, and we end up having sort of 3, 4, sometimes even 5 people that we go, I'm going to have to sit down with these people one-on-one and pick, aren't I?
It is Britain's Got Talent, isn't it? It's the end of the go all the names on the table, going which one's which.
So if we get to that point where it could really go either way, and there's so many top people, me and Claire, who's one of our team managers, sit down with the driver and the parents one-on-one and just have a conversation to try and figure out how can we help, how are you going to integrate into the team. And to be fair, even that this year was really, really tough to pick.
That's good though, it shows how close it is. So, stage 3?
That's it then. So once you've done the day in the X-Karts and we've picked sort of the top people, we try and get the winner from that. So those are the 2 stages.
Okay, so what do you win? What do you get out of it? What does Elijah get for 2025?
So it's a fully funded season with the team racing in the kart championship, which are funny enough just set up right in front of us at Kartmania.
Yeah.
They've been really great supporting us, so it's your entry fees, your tyres, all of that kind of stuff to do with racing at the event. And then from the team, it's a mechanic for the year, a car engine hire, kart prep, a set amount of coaching days throughout the year.
I was about to say, so you're not only going to be racing the JKC, you also have some coaching days set aside on top of that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
and then, so the main sort of the kart championship is obviously 6 rounds. So that's where the scholarship runs, but then the drivers then have the option of, let's say if they wanted to race UKC with us or Super 1 or whatever it might be, they have options to do other stuff as well. But there's no obligation to do that. It's if you want to keep your seat time up, which is what you need to do really.
We know it's a squeegee bit in the middle. Bang out to Lenny, Ellen Messenger for Ellen Motorsport for that. The squeegee thing in the middle is the bit that matters. So the more seat time you get, the better you're going to get on that track, aren't you? Okay, so always this question. I always say the biggest question is, how much does it cost to subscribe to a scholarship to try and win? So
let's say the prize. So we advertise and say the prize is worth 25,000. In reality, it's actually probably worth a lot more than that, because if you take into account you've got your race engine, a spare engine, all the rebuilds, it's probably more of a £35,000 prize. How much do you think it would cost?
What, to go through the 6 rounds, or to go through those 2 rounds? If I put it to club racing, so if I was going club racing the weekend, in fact, no, let's go championship racing. If I was going championship racing as a privateer, if I class it as 2 rounds, I'd probably estimate I'd spend between 3 and 5 grand to get to that point. If I go club level, if I'm mechanic and dad, maybe £240 a weekend. Am I on there yet?
So you're not far off, to be fair. So stage 1, so there's a registration fee at first, which is £99.
Okay.
And then within that you get added into like a community group where our business development manager's on hand to offer help and advice, and you get like an introductory call with her and she'll sit down and explain the process. So that's the first piece, £99 registration. And then you've got stage 1, which is either our track or Stu Stretton's track. That is £45 for the scholarship session where we judge how you performed on the circuit. And then stage 2 is £375.
I'm going to write this down because I need Carol Vorderman here. So it's £375
for stage 2.
For stage 2, it's £90 registration,
yeah,
45. Okay, so quickly that's.
Got some mental maths going on.
I've got to say a rough estimate, £500.
Yeah.
Do you know what? That's less than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and the reason why we so when we first broke it down this way, people, why is it added on? Why it's added on? If we said to you 180 people applied and they paid the full whack, if you then didn't get through to stage 2, you'd be pretty disappointed.
So do you pay in instalments? You do the first one, if you don't make it, that's it?
That's it. You don't pay the second piece.
If you get advice, the next one, you pay the next one. all the way up to that stage too.
So you register, you do your sessions at one of the corporate tracks, which is £45, and if you don't get through to stage 2, there's no extra cost. So again, that's the mindset of reducing that barrier to entry of the financial
that's really
burden.
interesting for the parents there. You know, if you're thinking your child is ready to go for a scholarship, then it's 45 quid to give it a go. Now, that's less than going out to a hire kart session for 30 minutes on some karts that are pretty rubbish. So that's great value for money. Okay, so once you've got this scholarship, obviously X-Kart, you know, we've gone against you. We can't win you. And we see you on Alpha Timing. You was in the World Champs. I saw you out on the TV. So how does X-Kart, you got driver development program, haven't you? So how does that work?
So we've accidentally grown into quite a big team. So this coming season, 2025, we're going to have 30 drivers, which is more than I'd ever sort of thought. You know, that's when you think of like the Strawberries and the DHRs of the world, that's the kind of drivers that they'd have.
Yeah.
And we've accidentally sort of become that, but I have no intention of us really racing at the Brits and, you know, doing the things where it's important to throw budget at it, whether it's a new set of tyres every practice day or whatever it might be. I don't really see us as a team that positions ourselves in those kind of environments. So we do UKC. Well, this season coming is going to be the first
where
time
we win again.
The kart championship, obviously, we've supported that since day one when it launched in 2020. Super One, we've done PF Club, Wilton Club. So we do quite a lot of. I would say we're a professional team at grassroots level.
It was Wilton that we went against you, won the Wilton Club rounds. Okay, so you develop your drivers, and I assume, you know, when you take on these kids, you build them into a career in motorsport.
Yeah, so obviously everyone wants to go and be a Formula One driver, or whatever it might be. It's a big ambitious goal, but it's not that achievable really. There's a lot of luck, a lot of money, and a lot of pressure that has to go into
how many F1 drivers are there in the world and how many karters are in the world. The odds are not good.
It's about shifting that mindset a little bit for them to think, okay, well, this is the main goal, but what steps are there along the way that you need to achieve to reach that goal, or what other opportunities are there en route? So, you know, in motorsport there's huge opportunities, whether it's mechanicking, driver coaching, logistics management, sponsorship, whatever it might be. There's a huge range of career paths within motorsport. So we position our drivers in a way of, let's think about it more sustainably. So you want to go race this year, your race season is going to cost you £30,000. And this is something we do with all our drivers. So we run something called the X-Kart DDP internally is what we call it, which is the driver development program. So we sit down and we basically teach the drivers to look at their racing career as a business. So, right, let's sit down and do a cash flow. How much money is it going to cost you to go and race that you want to do next year? And then we start to build it. Right, well, tyres are 205 quid for a set of slicks.
Yep.
Do you need that? Well, I want it. Okay, but now you've got a cost to it. So we build out a forecast for the year, which gives them an idea of how much their racing program is going to cost. And then when the parents go, a bit too high, okay, let's strip some stuff out. Let's take some bits out that we want to do. Let's get it to where we need it to be. We build them a website. We manage their social media platforms. We create the artwork for them and build them sort of their online digital presence. But then more importantly, teach them how to do that themselves. We create a sponsorship proposal for them so they can go out and pitch for sponsorship. We put strategies in place for them of how to approach sponsors, how to then retain sponsors and give them a good return on investment. We have obviously the personal trainer that we spoke about. There's a weekly fitness session. We have a mindset coach. We have a mentor and a business development manager. We've got all these. So the background of the DDP is I run a lot of businesses outside of X-Kart. So we've got a big team of marketing people that all have expertise in certain areas. So let's bring them all together, let's launch this thing and help everyone get better.
That's interesting.
And the DDP over the last couple of years that we've been running it, this will be our third year, going into the third year. We've raised £100,000 in sponsorship that goes directly into the drivers' pockets.
That's really, really good. And that's the kids working for it as well.
Yeah,
they're getting involved.
And then the thing of that then works for us, if we can give the drivers more budget, they're more likely to come and do more, which then works for us as a business, but it makes it sustainable for the drivers as well. And don't get me wrong, there's some drivers that have been really lucky and got £30,000 on the first try. There's others that have had to work really hard to get 1, 2, 3,000, but it all helps.
It does. Okay, well, I think that explains X-Kart. I didn't know any of that, so hopefully that's going to help you at home. Right, so the bonus segment I want to talk to you about today, Driven Dreams.
Yes.
Now, I watched that when we first started the Zenico Racing. It was quite early on, and it was Driven Dreams that actually inspired us to be what we were doing. It was what I was watching at the time, going, that's really interesting. I'm learning from that, and I'm going through that history. We thoroughly enjoyed it, and understand there's a Driven Dreams coming out, a new one.
Yes, very.
Is it more brutal? Is it really honest?
Well, let's be honest, you've seen it.
I didn't want to say that. I did have a little look at it to see what I thought, and okay, it is brutal. Okay, I've seen it. I've watched it, and if you watch the first series, Driven Dreams, it was quite honest. This second series, I haven't watched all of them. I've only watched some of them. It really grinds down to that grassroots going into that higher championship racing, and the journey that the families and the kids take, and how brutal it can be. It is quite honest.
Yeah, so we how Driven Dreams got founded is we worked on a TV show with the BBC following a young autistic kart driver who was progressing from karting to cars. And I got on really well with the executive producer of that show, and he was like, there's so much more to this, we could do so much more. So my naive brain was like, oh, let's do it. I know nothing about making a TV show, but I was like, yeah, let's do it. And the first season, it was great, it kicked things off for us, but we made a lot of fundamental errors when making season 1.
Yeah.
And that sort of shows in the production quality and the storylines.
I could see that. It was great.
It's great, it's good to watch, but it's not what it could have been if we didn't make certain critical errors. We have addressed those for this year. We've gone to a production company in London who actually make all of Red Bull's video content. So when Red Bull landed the plane on Burj Khalifa? Yep. Same film crew that did Driven Dreams. And
it shows on the production, because I've seen it now. It does show.
We wrote off 2 drones with this. None of them on the track, by the way. One of them was at Rower and he crashed it into the rock edge.
Right, yeah.
So
that is quite a scary rock edge when you're racing that track.
Drone footage, there's GoPros, there's Cambox visor cams.
Cambox, yeah.
There's all sorts. And it doesn't necessarily just follow the live stream on what happens on the track. We go and visit the drivers' houses. We go and look at their background.
So the episode,
just adds more depth.
The episode I watched, you went to someone's house and you've got the grandparent there talking about how expensive karting can be, and he's funding his grandchild, isn't he, through the process.
So I know the bit that you're talking about now.
And it's really personal. It really hit home to me.
Driver and direct, we go, so how much are you going to spend this year on your driver's karting? And he sort of his face sinks and he goes, 30, 40,000. It's ridiculous, isn't it? And that show, he'd probably not thought of that costing one big total before. No. So it does give you this perspective of it. And without giving too much of the plot away, episode 1 is called Who Spends Wins.
Yep.
And it's a bit like the David and Goliath story. So we have a driver who doesn't have a lot of budget and he's doing it on a real shoestring, and we have a driver that's racing with a team. Racing with a team, has quite a lot of budget, is out testing quite a lot, and it's like, okay, so the episode builds up and builds up, this driver doing really, really well, but David versus Goliath.
Don't spoil it. Go and watch it. And the other thing about Driven Dreams is it shows the emotions that the kids go through when they're driving on these tracks. Us as parents, we're all very good. Oh, he didn't do that very well, he didn't do that very well. At the end of the day, we're not behind the wheel. We haven't got that pressure. We're just mechanics, we're dads, we're mums, we're uncles, grandparents. And it really pulls out that emotion of those kids, which is interesting to see. Well, being released next year, are you able to tell us what platform it's on yet? Or are we still waiting for that?
Yeah, I know where it's going, but I'm not allowed to say.
In that case, then, keep watching advertising. You will see what platform it's on. We're going to be watching it, even though we watched some of them. Matty, all I can say is thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you for supporting us and what we do. That scholarship, my advice to any parent, 45 quid, go and try it. To be fair, we might even try it. Looking forward to Driven Dreams. If you are coming to Kartmania this weekend, it's a Sunday, we've got lots of talks going on. We're doing some more live streams later, talking to the likes of Dan Holland, time, race engines, how to transition from karting to cars. So stay tuned when we go live. Hope you enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
No problem. Just one shameless plug before we go. If you do want to do the X-Kart Scholarship, if you go on the X-Kart website, which is x-kart.co.uk, registrations and all the information on the scholarship is live on the website.
Get yourself signed up. Kill that stream.